Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Allysa. I film lifestyle vlogs and motivational content, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. So with that said, let's jump right into the video. Today, by the title of this video, obviously I'm going to be talking about body image and how we can be okay when our bodies change. I want to preface this by saying that I am not a licensed professional or any professional of any sort when it comes to this topic, so if you are someone who really is struggling with eating disorders or anything of that sort, then please go ahead and consult a doctor or a professional. There is absolutely no shame in seeking help, and in fact it's probably one of the most brave things that you can do on your own. So now that I have that out there, I want to dive into this topic because it's something that is very relevant, especially among women. I feel like as humans we all deal with body image issues or insecurities to a certain extent, but I feel like women especially, and during their, I guess you could say, like peak years, I'd say like between 18 and 25, or like high school, and between like 20 and to 28, I'd say that these body image issues are the most prevalent because it's when we're experiencing the most changes, and then you add social media on top of that, which has been more common than ever and popular than it has been if we compare it to other decades. It just makes things so much more complicated, and it can make it so much harder to feel confident in our skin when there's so many unrealistic expectations that are thrown at us. So I wanted to dive a little deeper into that and share my personal experience and share my story to hopefully help one or some of you guys out there. When it comes to body image, I feel like it's not black and white. I used to think that there were people who totally feel confident in their skin and just totally embrace their bodies, and then there are the people who don't, who have low self-esteem or struggle with their body image. But what I've come to realize over the years is that you can be both of that, you know, like one day you can feel totally confident in your skin, and then the next day you can feel like totally crappy about yourself, and that is completely normal. I don't think that we should feel ashamed of having those feelings of extreme confidence and then feeling insecure. Like, that's just being a normal human being. Just like how you can't always be happy all the time, you're gonna have days where you're gonna feel low and down, and that's just part of life. But what I've also realized with that is it's important to be gentle and kind with ourselves. I think that there can be this expectation that's promoted through social media that we need to love our bodies and love our flaws all the time. You know, body image and body confidence is a journey, so you don't have to have it all figured out, you know, by a certain year, like by the time you're 25. You know, it's something that has its ebb and flows, and you're gonna go through different phases. It's also completely normal to feel confident in your body when you were, let's say, 23, but now that you are 29 and going into this new chapter in your life, it's totally normal to feel weird about the different changes in your body and feel like you are unsure of how your body is changing. And I think that is something especially that I am kind of going through, like, as I get into my 20s. I'm 21, by the way, so I'm not that old, at least I don't think. But as I go into my 20s, what I'm realizing is that my body is changing. My body isn't the same body as that I had when I was in high school or even 2 to 3 years ago. You know, I'm starting to fill out a little more. My curves are getting a little bit more defined, and as someone who has always been on a little bit of the slimmer side, it's definitely kind of like a shock, or kind of like a this transition that I'm still learning how to embrace. And for some people it may seem like, what are you talking about? Like, you look the same, like you haven't gained any weight. Like, it's not even about necessarily gaining weight or fat and skinny, and those are such like loaded terms, I feel like, because truly what is healthy and fit is really what you feel good in, what makes you feel the best. But what I've realized is that someone who you can perceive as healthy and totally fine can still have their insecurities and still have their moments of doubt with themselves. I really hate it when people will look at someone and be like, oh, you have nothing to worry about. Like, you have no reason to feel insecure or to feel sad or to feel ashamed or anything like that, because who are we to judge what those experiences are from someone else? You know, like, we don't know their history, we don't know their background, and we especially don't know how their relationship has been with themselves, specifically with body image. So to sit there and say that and tell a woman or a young girl that you have nothing to worry about, I think can be harmful in a lot of ways, because it dismisses how they're feeling and it dismisses those deeper issues that they may have with themselves. And so I just wanted to point that out there, that it's completely normal to have insecurities and doubts, even when our insecurities and doubts don't merit like social concern, or even if we may seem like we fit this ideal body type, that people are immune to feeling insecure. Like, we really don't know what goes behind closed doors, and we don't know what their struggles have been. So I also want to encourage other people to be a little bit more compassionate and understanding that everyone's story is different. Something that I've personally had to learn how to embrace is body change. You know, I kind of mentioned this a few minutes ago when I was talking about how everyone has a different story, but a few years ago I had hit my lowest weight, and whether it was just hormones or my body changing or just the birth control I was on, I was really skinny, like probably a little bit underweight, to be honest, now looking back. But at the time I had thought, this is my ideal body type, you know, this is exactly how I want to look like. But even then, when I had thought that I had reached this like level of like idealistic body type, which I have realized there is no such thing as an ideal body type because it's so different for everyone. But even then, I started to pick myself apart. I started to find flaws. I started to feel like, well, now I don't have the curves, and now I don't have like a butt as round as like Kim Kardashian or whoever the biggest star is on social media that we idealize. And it started to make me feel really bad. Now, fast forward a few years, when my body started to go through changes and started to fill out and, you know, get a little bit more curvy for whatever reason, maybe just my body going through natural changes, I started looking back at those old photos and feeling like, oh my gosh, I wish I was that skinny again. Which I want to also be very sensitive around this topic, because I know like body image and weight can be triggering for some people, but I just want to emphasize that this is from my experience and my story. So I know some people may think you're crazy, like, you know, what are you getting so like worked up about? But in my mind and in my head, I had looked at these old photos and started feeling like I wasn't good enough anymore. I was like, man, like I really wish I could get down to that weight again. But what's something that I have realized is that our bodies are meant to change. They're not meant to stay the same, especially when we have kids. Like, our bodies obviously change, not just biologically, but from the outside. And I think as women, we need to stop, you know, putting this emphasis on my body looked better before than it is now. Like, you know, as a human, you're going to go through changes, including how your body shape is. So trying to idealize and think that your body looked better at a certain decade of time is just so harmful for yourself, and it's really not true. You know, your body is beautiful in every single decade, because I'm sure that even in the decade that you thought you looked the best, you probably found flaws within yourself, or you found something to pick apart, and that's totally normal, which is something that I did. So I definitely don't want to discredit or dismiss anyone's feelings of insecurity, but I just want to put it out there that I think that if you are someone who is trying to attain a certain body type because you want to fit a beauty standard, or because you want other people, like men, to like you more, then you will ultimately still feel unfulfilled and still feel unhappy because you are wanting that for the wrong reasons. And that's something that I had learned coming from like both perspectives. And what that brought me to conclude is that we really need to work on just focusing on cultivating that relationship with ourselves. And like I said in the beginning of the video, body image and body confidence does not mean feeling 100% confident all the time. I think that's very unrealistic, to be honest, because we can't always be happy all the time, you know? But instead, I think when we think of body confidence and body image, we should think of it as, you know, being kind to ourselves. Like, even when we don't love our bodies, and even when we may not feel the most confident, being able to feel grateful that our bodies work and that our bodies help us move, and, you know, not letting it totally ruin our days, and just telling ourselves, you know what, it's normal, but it's okay. Like, I may not feel confident today, but I still love my body. And I think that is a much more healthy relationship and perspective to have on body image and body confidence, rather than promoting this idea of complete confidence 1000% of the time. So those are just my thoughts on body image and body confidence. I feel like that this topic can go on for hours and hours. There's just so many different subtopics that you can go into it. I mean, we haven't even explored the effects of social media that it has on body image, which is just a whole other topic. But for today, I just wanted to share my story and share some of the feelings that I have had, because I know I'm not alone in it, and I wanted to bring light to it and sort of normalize that it's okay to not feel confident in our bodies all the time, and it's certainly okay for our bodies to change, and to embrace that change, and to kind of learn to love your body each day just a little bit more. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and like it, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below on what you love the most about your body. It can be a physical feature, it can be something that you love and that you're grateful that your body does, but leave it down below. I'd love to read it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.